Rogue prioritize the Xayah so heavily here with the likes of the Karma Open, especially because we just have not seen Jactroll pilot the Rakan in the bottom lane. This is not a 2 versus 2 the Vitality have played so far this split, so I think they missed an opportunity now, except that Jactroll has locked in his first Rakan of the split.
And that's the thing. Very often people just assume that the enemy team will not take it, but it is always going to be an option. Of course, both champions much stronger in the duo, but not too much of a hit. Xayah is still quite relevant. We'll see how Rogue want to pair this up. Two very supportive picks already locked in on the side of Vitality. Of course, with Azir taken off the board. The next premier mid laner in Corki, yay, is still available, but instead it's going to be the Skarner for Inspired. Once again, a lot of eyes on this guy. He has been a standout player for the team, but we need to see if he can have the same results on a champion outside of that Olaf.
Yeah, maybe harder to have that early game presence on a champion like the Skarner as opposed to the Olaf, but I do like the idea of having instant, reliable, hard CC up against the Rakan that wants to engage and dodge around in these team fights. Just being able to instantly click that R button forces Jactroll into a QSS if he wants to play aggressively.
And something that you have to respect at all times. And of course, Vitality as a team, very aggressive, very spontaneous, so having a simple point and click option is always nice to have up against them. Already a lot of damage, a bit of CC for the side of Rogue. We'll see how the rest of their composition rounds out. Vitality now debating on the final pick in the first rotation, and it's gonna be the Tristana. Now that is not something I have expected to see on our stage. I mean, I thought Reckless might play a first 1,500 kill game, but outside of that meme moment, I was pretty sure we wouldn't see it for a while.
Yeah, but Attila wants to go for that pick here, so one of the things that Tristana always brings is very strong early laning phase with the rocket jump. You do have a little bit increased damage on that from a few patches ago, so early all-ins alongside Rakan could be a source of strength, but also it is one of the best champions at matching the scaling of Corki come the late game. Because of the way Tristana's passive works, she gets so much added attack range that it is the ability to outrange that Corki and then get the team fight advantage through that range disadvantage.
Huge thing to have, of course, especially up against the Xayah as well. While it might not have as much immediate AoE damage, the single target very much in favor of Tristana, as well as the ability to get the Skarner out of your face and input buffer any of the potential CC that could come through. Now, speaking of CC, there is not a whole lot on the side of Rogue right now outside of the stun and suppress from Skarner. We'll see what else they want to complement with. But top lane bans, interestingly enough, for the focus for Vitality, despite the fact that they have last pick here on the top side, but Karma already locked in. Pretty much shows us that Cabo wants to secure that matchup.
Right, and seeing the Renekton plus Kled bans here, two of the champions that we saw get the buffs on this patch to break through shields, to get that Grievous Wounds on the Kled, are being banned away here because even though you expect Karma to win those matchups in an isolated 1v1 up top side, those two champions, if you bring a jungler up there and get involved, can absolutely chain kill this Karma and give her a really, really tough time.
Larssen now locked in 2, so maybe some early game support more for the Karma. Already banned out some of those matches, but also now with a strong early jungler for Mowgli, something that we always like to see. And a lot of mobility here on the Vitality lineup. We heard from Frostgurn yesterday. They built a composition that was about these chaotic kind of scrappy fights, and once again, it feels like they have the tools to repeat that. But a lot will be decided on these last two picks from Rogue. Looking for support, the Nautilus would not be a bad choice, and of course a top laner as well, short of some crazy Corki flexes.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Nautilus here, both as an answer into the Kron, because again, so much CC in this kit to lock him down, but also his ultimate is going to be able to lock down a Tristana even if she does try to go through her rocket jump. So there's the ability to have that long-range CC potential onto a backliner like the Trist.
But the final pick now will be the Aatrox. So between the Nautilus and the Aatrox, we have a bit more supplemental engage for the side of Rogue, as well as, well, normally someone I would consider quite a strong laner, but Aatrox into Karma, maybe not the ideal matchup. Here for Profit on the top side of the map. We'll see if it will be a flex pick, hard to imagine, but it is definitely an option. And now instantly Ezreal.
It's the solo lane Tristana, okay? We heard Caps talking a little about it in the interview yesterday, but this is gonna be Jiizuke Tristana mid. I think the last time I've seen mid lane Tristana, and hear me out, was like season 4 with Boy playing it back in North America. No, I think it was actually playing AD Tristana back.
Well, okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of props because you did tell me that Tristana was one of the few champions of the game that could match the scaling of the Corki. Now, I did not think that that meant that they would also lane against each other, but Jiizuke is not even here to play the passive game, my friend. He's taking Ignite into the mid lane as mid lane Tristana, and I'm gonna be honest. Over the last weeks, I feel like we haven't seen quite as much Vitality flair outside of the insanity in some of their plays, and this is definitely some of that Vitality flair, putting Jiizuke on one of these weird niche champions that he loves to grab.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see this game. I have to be honest, haven't seen a whole lot of mid lane Tristana outside of some games Caps has been playing. He's been one of the few players you can track playing this actively in solo queue at the moment. But it's setting us up for a very, very exciting game to start off the day.
Could be absolutely explosive. You heard about it on the bottom side. Tristana all about those early all-ins. If she finds the opportunity, well, the mid lane might exacerbate that, might make it harder for Rogue to respond. But we're going to see, inevitably, all eyes will be on the jungle Inspired. Still the member of Rogue that we want to track. How does he respond to this Tristana in the mid lane, to these curveballs that Vitality is throwing out here in this pick and ban phase? Both teams, 4 wins, 7 losses. Not enough playoff spots to go around. Somebody needs to go up, and somebody has to go down. Ladies and gentlemen, our first game of the day. Rogue on the blue side, Vitality on the red. Now, normally, Ender, anytime we enter a game, I'd say, Ender, tell me about the jungle. But instead, let's talk about the mid lane for a moment.
Yeah, let's talk about this Tristana in particular, seeing it for the first time on the LEC stage right here. Now, one thing we'll see a lot that Caps likes to do on this pick is he goes for the jump, the rocket jump at level 1. It got buffed a couple patches ago to have a little bit more extra damage, and just, it does a lot. And because you're running Ignite alongside with Press the Attack, it means that some early all-in trades can be quite favorable on this pick. And as we mentioned, later on into the match, you do tend to outscale the likes of the Corki.
See exactly what Jiizuke wants to opt for. Currently, he has not put a point in any ability, waiting until he needs to decide. Of course, could always be vulnerable for a level 2 gank if he opts to take something other than the rocket jump. So for now, we won't see the most action here in this mid lane. Instead, we turn our attentions now to the junglers. Inspired on this Skarner up against Mowgli on the Larssen. Break it down for me, Vander.
Yeah, so right now we're seeing both junglers start on their blue buffs, and importantly for Mowgli in particular, I think the reason why you do start on the bottom side of the map is so that the end of your clear is up top side. That means you have some downside, or downtime rather, before your camps do go ahead and respawn, and he's going to be top side around the same time that this Karma will inevitably be pushing in the Aatrox. So you do give that added protection where you don't necessarily need to look for a gank if you are on this Larssen, but rather just cover your pushing lanes early.
And he is set up to do that. You can see Jiizuke already taking control of the mid lane. Pretty easy to push without consuming too much mana here on the Tristana. Nice thing to have the explosive shot. But the ward now laid down with a bit of mid lane pressure. Will keep an eye on the Skarner, but not spotted. Ooh, just now spotted as Inspired will turn his sights towards the Raptor camp and look for that level 3.
Yeah, it's also going to be very difficult for Inspired to ever make anything happen around this mid lane because of, one, the rocket jump. If you look for any early plays, that's going to be relatively easy. But then once Tristana hits level 6, even if Inspired is trying to like flash in and go for a play, having the ultimate to just knock him away is a very powerful disengage tool, specifically against the Skarner pick.
And once again, we're kind of putting a lot of pressure on Inspired because for this Rogue lineup, he has kind of been, to a certain degree, the end-all, be-all in the early game. His Olaf games have been absolutely fantastic, and we've been waiting to see what else he can show us. Skarner, of course, a question mark as well. So seeing what he can do, if he can show up, is a huge question because yesterday, we saw what it looks like when he's not performing, and it was not a good look for Rogue.
Yeah, and that's why seeing him on something like a Skarner that you don't really expect to have a huge early game influence could maybe be concerning for some Rogue fans. But this whole move between Inspired and Vander is so classic Rogue. You know, Inspired loves to start on his top side of the map when his bot lane has priority, when they can get the shove for an early ward.
The Jactroll steps forward.
That's a minion.
Minion happy there to block, but very risky play coming in from Jactroll. Has to be careful, too, with the Skarner moving down towards the bottom side of the map.
And there's a lot of ranged minions here too, so if Woolite doesn't continue to hit that wave will eventually start creeping in towards the side of Rogue, which means that Vitality's duo is going to be hard-pressed to step forward and actually lay down for any CS.
Ooh, rough position to be in too, because while Ezreal can be incredibly strong, obviously just does not offer the same amount of CC, chain damage that the Xayah can currently put out, but Woolite and Vander still giving respect to the opposite lane, the wave obviously building, and I like that they're getting pressure in the lane as much as they can.
Yeah, luckily for them too, you know, it's a very mobile 2 versus 2, so Attila and Jactroll should be able to disengage if there were to be a play around this bottom side, but you can expect now both teams to have their junglers reset and go back to the start of their clears, because around the 4:30 in the game is when those camps do respawn. In this case, it'll be both Gromps for these 2 junglers.
Jactroll going to fish for the play here. Does get a good bit of damage down. Looks like the Aftershock was not available for Vander, so had to take the full brunt of that damage. But Attila very quickly running out of mana. See if Klepto can RNG him into a mana pot. Otherwise, it might be a bit difficult.
Now look at Inspired's pathing right now. He was not seen on the ward. He does have Predator boots. He'd love to get a gank off on this timing because he does see Mowgli, I believe, down on that Gromp camp due to that early ward. And he walked all the way through the lane, so the ward on his own Gromp camp did not see him.
Does have to be careful. We'll move to his own Gromp. Now is spotted out. They know that he's on the top side. Difficult situation for Inspired to be in. Bot lane kind of pushing, matching. Mid lane going back and forth. Top lane very easily in the favor of Cabo. So difficult for him to find an opening here as Mowgli just moves straight onto this Ocean Drake. And it will be brutal for top lane if an early Ocean goes down.
Yeah, I mean, this is something you can absolutely do on Lee Sin. After your first clear, you upgrade your jungle item. And because that early ward, you know Inspired's on the top side of the map. So even though he actually walked over a blue ward, he is completely free to go ahead and pick this one up, because knowing that Lee Sin is in the area, Rogue's bot lane can't actually contest in that 2 versus 2.
Oh, level 5 now too as the experience goes down. Excellent to have that. Cabo's going to be having for it every time Prophet stops trading, which will be quite frequently against the Karma. He will just get all that mana and HP right back.
I love Mowgli's pathing too. Remember that early ward they put on Raptors, right? He knows the respawn of that camp too, so he's playing very aggressively, trying to min-max all these different camp respawn timers. Wasn't able to get anything in the end, but this is the way Mowgli likes to play when he has knowledge of where the enemy jungler is on the map. His pathing is always set up to try and get a counter jungle and steal a camp.
Does do so, at least matches Inspired, gets a bit of vision. We're now kind of eyeing on the level 6 race for both junglers, two obviously very large playmakers. The Predator boots Skarner as well as the Lee Sin. Both sides chasing, looking for a few free camps. Inspired looks like he's going to lay down a bit of vision here. Take, of course, doesn't show up on the minimap anymore. I'm thinking old Skarner, so fine to take the Spire there, but will be spotted out. So now a bit of free time with the blue buff. Mowgli will just trade on the top side, but this puts Prophet in a bit of a tough spot. Very vulnerable if the Karma does want to push forward for anything else.
Yeah, and you expect to be falling behind in CS in this matchup for Prophet. Now, luckily for Aatrox, you do have quite a bit of range, especially on your Q, to try and last hit without getting bombarded with too much damage, but this is certainly not a great matchup for the Aatrox by any means. Now, the map has been completely split by these 2 junglers, playing around their pressure 100%, so they will be going ahead and trading blue buffs. But I do want to call this back to the Ocean Drake that was soloed by Mowgli earlier on, because the map was almost expected to be split up and divvied in this way because of the way that Cabochard is expected to pressure so hard in top lane, and because Woolite and Vander should have the advantage in the 2v2 down bottom lane, which makes it so important that Mowgli was able to get pressure at the time he did.
Very important as well. Vitality waiting, suspecting, I believe, a ward in this bush. They do not have confirmation. They're going to probably use the Blast Cone to go over, not give Prophet any chance to respond, not going to use it, don't need it. Mowgli now stepping in. But the rest of the team is now coming, responding. If they overstep on this play, they've seen the Predator boots, the TP's coming in as well. Vitality have overstayed their welcome. Mowgli's first on the lance, and a beautiful read by Rogue nets them the first blood.
That was just absolutely perfect right there. Vander walking into that top lane alongside Inspired for the counter gank, and Woolite holding onto his teleport as well. This means that the map is going to be split even further, dodging out of the 1v1 top, the 2v2 bottom lane. Now it's Woolite and Vander that can pressure up topside and try and chip down for some plate money.
And honestly, just Vitality read like a book in that exchange, and it's so good for Rogue, because now not only can they get a little bit of plate money, can they push Cabo in, they're now set up to take control of the Herald. And I thought, hey, Vitality, they're on the road to get the Herald, they're on the road to get the Ocean Drake early game, and giving Vitality a lead, normally so dangerous, but Rogue in absolute control.
Now Mowgli is sitting inside of this lane. They can use the tower to try and turn this around. He still has his ultimate. This could be a risky dive.
Knockup is there. Follow-up stun is not going to connect in the end. Will not use it. The kick flash back, though. Mowgli now trying to escape, but the hook is there. Attila is now coming in with the Ezreal. I don't think he's going to be able to do enough. Eyes on Woolite. A lot of damage going down. Not quite going to connect. Will he proc the mark? Jiizuke goes over the wall. That's the rocket jump. He's going to be able to grab the reset off the back of Vander. Is going to get it. Can leap back into the rest of the team, but for now, a single kill to the side of Vitality. Holding off, waiting. As they push in. Mowgli, Sonic Wave. Where's it going to go? Jiizuke on the back side. How much damage is he going to throw out? Woolite still has the ultimate available. He has to hold it. That's the last defensive cooldown he has outside of the flash. Needs to be careful. Larssen there too. Jiizuke may have overstayed his welcome. If the stun connects, Jiizuke is going to be in trouble. Can he input buffer the rocket jump? No, he's going to not make it out. Oh, just barely the one-for-one trade there. Mowgli now makes it to safety. Jactroll here too. It's a mess on the top side, but meanwhile on the bot lane, Aatrox is taking everything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing can be stopped right now. Vitality's support respawn came back into the top lane to try and finish off that play, and a good rocket there from Larssen will cancel out the reset. So overall, you zoom out of the picture, Vitality have the gold lead, but Prophet has had so much free time to push down in this bottom lane, pick up 2 plates for that.
And I'm gonna be honest, that was a mess of a fight. There are so many cooldowns burned, there are so many good on Cabo to survive. This was over-aggressive, I feel, from the side of Rogue, but they, of course, didn't know Mowgli was there.
Yeah, so Mowgli goes to the kick under the tower. Now, Vander had left turret aggro already, so he didn't take an extra shot or 2. And at this point, Vitality knew they had to collapse first. So they get the first quick kill there on towards Vander. Then the call is, we can loop around. Jiizuke reset his rocket jump, so he pops on over this wall. At the same time, the Corki ran all the way back into the mid lane. So that third member of Rogue is going to be late to this party. But Jiizuke, spending his jump, is now isolated on this side of the fight and gets quickly taken down in that 1-for-1.
Just a difficult exchange, most certainly. Vitality hoping to get a little bit more. Now, Ender. Ooh, held that thought. Ouch. Do have been trading here on the top side. Waves are resetting. Bot laners are now on the top side around the Herald. Rogue may look to set up a play here as well as they push in for a bit of vision. Mowgli very much on the back foot in terms of jungle vision. Does not have eyes on Inspired at the moment.
Inspired still wants to play around this 2 versus 2. There's no flash on Attila, still a flash on Jactroll, however. So if they can just camp out in this tri-brush, if Jactroll ever steps down, it's very easy to just land one hook from Vander into a quick ultimate from Inspired. There's no escape from that.
Jactroll still stepping forward. Mowgli will go for another potentially free Drake here. Don't think that they have knowledge that this is happening, so it might just be traded here for the Rift as Rogue started up. But Ender, as the plays kind of fizzle out, I have a question. So we saw that top lane play from Vitality. And it felt a little forced to me.
Yeah.
And obviously yesterday when we look at Vitality's game, it was a bit of a story of forced plays, and I'm wondering if we're seeing the same mistakes that we saw yesterday against Splice. Obviously a huge heartbreaker for Vitality, on the cusp of winning a game after a very difficult early game, and then, well, throwing it all away.
I mean, right now, I think the fight looks very messy because the tools Vitality have aren't really there. They don't have a ton of like hard CC to try and lock anyone down, so they're more about chasing you in these extended fights, or the mobility of Larssen, Tristana, Ezreal can catch you off guard if you don't have a turret to fall back on, or something along those lines, whereas Rogue, it's very easy to execute inside of these engages. Very clear, you know, CC tools to try and use to your advantage, and if you just have the cooldowns like a flash of Inspired, it makes it so hard for Vitality to ever try and do anything against you. So they need to use the windows where those spells are on cooldown, and that's why Vitality should be increasing the speed at which they play.
Well, for now, it feels like a Rogue are ahead of the play, as they are the ones to get onto that top lane tower first, but now Cabo set him to do what he can to threaten Prophet, but there's no minion wave here. They're going to have to commit to dive. Are they just going to kick him back? Goes through. Nice flash back from Prophet. That was a clean play. Larssen's here now, and Mowgli just dies! My God, Corki Sheen damage is absolutely nutty.
So remember when you said, are we seeing some of the similar mistakes from Vitality in this game? I'm going to go ahead and say a little bit yes to that one right there, going for a pretty bold tower dive. No real tank to try and do that, and Jactroll gonna get a cancel, you know.
Moral victory
good job.
right there. Got him.
Yeah.
And Ender, the thing that I love, I like the Vitality are trying things. I like that they're forcing plays. Like, that's the thing that I like about Vitality's identity as a team. But the thing that I love from Rogue is that they've responded to that play topside. It's so good. And here as well, Prophet just outplays this completely.
Oh yeah, Mowgli follows the Q back, so didn't expect to get stuck underneath the tower like that. Prophet make him go every which way right there, eat an extra shot, and that's ultimately what got him killed.
I mean, you're a level 7 Lee Sin against a level 9, maybe level 8 at the time, TPing in Corki. That's a lot of damage. Gonna connect there. And we'll see what Jactroll can do. Obviously, a decent amount of pressure on him to kind of be the big playmaker here. We've seen the turnaround potential that a Rakan can have, but and with 280 carries, you think it might be a bit easier to set up some of these plays, but as you mentioned, really just fishing for those one-off picks between the Rakan and the Lee Sin, because they don't really have enough CC to carry a fight.
And right now they have to dodge, I think, Vitality have to dodge the power group of Rogue, you know? When Vander and Inspired are walking around together, that just can mean instant death if you're ever trying to catch these players out. So right now, Inspired continues to play around this 2v2. It's a very, very good move from him because it's very easy. Again, you land 1 CC, you're going to win, even if Mowgli shows up to try and counter gank.
Oof. And Mowgli now very much on the back foot. It felt like that one play, Vitality were dictating the pace, and ever since then, Rogue have actually been the ones getting plays kicked off, getting things started, and they're not really giving Vitality the options to stay away from them if they're going to keep forcing like this, but will not push the bot wave in any further.
Right, one of the things Rogue do very well is set up vision around the lanes they're trying to play through. So right now, we look at the control wards in this bottom side, like the river. Corki can always move down towards this bottom lane without being at risk of being under any sort of wards. They're constantly trying to put deep vision inside the Vitality jungle to just give protection for this 2v2 and to give them the freedom, the access to move between these rivers, so they could be making a play bottom lane, they could be making a play mid lane. Vitality will never know which though.
Difficult to play without that information. For now, the one strong point of the map for Vitality feels like it is Cabochard, a guy that, honestly, like all of Vitality, has had a bit of an up and down season. We used to consider him the Rock last season, kind of the sole carry, sole reliable early game carry for this team. But as you know, Attila and Jactroll have been stepping up, it feels like Cabo hasn't had quite the same level of performances. But given the counterpick this time around, he's doing a pretty good job. CS, of course, looks minorly in favor of Prophet, but don't forget that Karma does have Kleptomancy, so should have a decent goal advantage.
Trying to make a play up top lane here. Inspired does have the flash.
Could try to commit it. Always risky to go all in on a Karma, though, without an Ignite. They have no way to stop the healing. The mantra is going to come out. Mowgli now going to try to fish for Prophet. This is a very ambitious 1v1, and now he's going to get pulled back in. Inspired first on the menu, will get taken down. Vander and Prophet now need to run for their lives. The TP in from Woolite's going to try to save the day, but just takes a lot of damage to the face. Meanwhile, look at that Tristana versus Corki 1v1. Picture in picture, watching two fights at the same time, folks. Eyes on the bottom box. Jiizuke now running for his life. Can he make it out of safety? He will get out. Level 10 to level 11. Larssen tries to capitalize on that Trinity Force power spike.
And this is a really big win for Vitality. Not only do they counter the play up top lane, they get the kill onto Inspired, but also they break that tower. So some money going over towards this team after Rogue just pushed way too far for that play. You know, trying to lock down this Karma was already going to be very hard because of the shields, the movement speed. It was going to take Inspired a very long time, and he pulled the trigger before Vander was in a position to actually be able to follow up on that play, and that's what gave Vitality the numbers advantage right from the start.
Remember, this Karma is just notoriously hard to nail down.
Also, the W from Cabochard means that Inspired can't continue to pull him back, so Prophet was sort of isolated there. Now seeing this fight in the mid lane, and back to the top lane, we'll just check it all out, because that ultimate almost killed Prophet.
That's a feels bad TP from Woolite, though, because he came in to back the team up and just took an Ezreal to the face. So, difficult situation. Does stop the dive, I think, from happening by being there.
All right, Rogue are back to playing around the 2v2. This is what we want to see from them. Very easy turret secure from them. They're the first team to get back out onto the map after both teams reset around that play up topside. Vitality spending a little bit of extra time in that topside jungle, which gave them that deep vision.
Now the package going to be forced out. Big fat mantra Q, the Soul Flare coming in from Cabochard, the follow-up. Jactroll tries to find it, but Inspired now fishing for a play here. Does not quite have the ultimate up yet, but it looks like the Predator boots are available as well as the Smite. So is still a pretty big threat here in these exchanges. You can see we've literally been here before. I've seen this exact Dragon fight versus Splice.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch Jactroll. The flank from him could be absolutely deadly if he can pop over this wall. Little does he know he's seen by that blue trinket inside the tri-brush over there, so won't be able to make that play happen.
But we're trying to take the Shrine. Sonic Wave has connected on the Dragon. They've now fished out on the Jactroll. Jactroll trying to make it up safety. Cabochard coming on the bottom side. Inspired has taken the Drake. Rogue can continue the play if they want. Prophet was running for his life. The lane jungler has been locked up, and a free, easy pickup for Rogue. Larssen on a killing spree.
Nothing is better for Rogue than having Vitality split up inside of this fight, because they'll just punch you straight in the mouth with 4 members here. That's what they do, using the Impale coming through from Inspired. Now they get control over this mid lane, can shove that one out and go back, restock on some items, and feel pretty good about that exchange.
Yeah, 1.4k gold lead, as well as getting a Mountain Drake, which will make taking any further towers or that Baron that much easier. But Vitality now trying to take this opportunity, knowing that Rogue are forced to back to get a little bit more on the map. Sadly, the waves just are not there for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Rogue coming off of this reset, commit 4 members towards this mid lane. Right now, both side lanes are pushing in their favor, so they have this window of time at the moment where they could try to brute force down mid, bring a numbers advantage, and try to crack open that turret, because once they can knock that thing down, it becomes so much easier to move around this map and try to look for the picks that their comp is very built to do.
And I think the difficulty here for me, Ender, is that right now, Prophet probably okay, sacrificing a bit of CS. Larssen and Woolite obviously very resource heavy, but just looking at Jiizuke's items, this man is quite far behind. And would really like to find more CS and more gold to finish up that Infinity Edge.
2014, though, I was right.
That's right, folks.
Because it was played for a slight period of time. It was not a troll pick by any means.
This is in the LEC, for reference. This is in Europe, in this league, previously known as the EU LCS. So that's a long, long time ago. Shout out to Froggen. Former.
I was a sophomore in high school in 2014.
And you were also right about Void Boy, I've been informed. You being a sophomore in high school just makes me feel old and uncomfortable, so I'm just going to let that one go. Anywho, as we look at 2014 Tristana coming back, right as I say it, the IE, of course, comes out. So Jiizuke a little bit stronger now. See how much damage he can do. And the Death Bush set up on the top side. Jiizuke, he's looking at that farm. He thinks it's tasty, but Rogue know that he wants that farm too. It's
a play Inspired goes for all the time. You approach the sort of 20-minute mark in the game, coming off a reset, Inspired will just slither through a lane and try to get a lane gank to happen, because a lot of times some of our side laners don't fully respect the ability for your team to just commit multiple members towards one side of the map.
Jactroll. Feel like he knew that Valkyrie was come out. That's just a trade of cooldowns there.
But look at this. It's a weakness of Tristana in the side lane. If she's not able to step up and auto-attack the wave, her wave clear is very, very poor from range. So Rogue commit 3 people up topside to get a tier 2 tower. Vitality can't match in the mid lane because Corki can just knock those minions away with ease. They're going to be able to trade for that bottom lane, but it's a very delayed move here from Vitality.
And a bit difficult too. Trading a tier 1 for a tier 2, definitely not the ideal. Vitality, though, still with a good amount of control on the bottom side. Rogue, of course, a bit too early in the game for them to consider taking the Baron. So Vitality are, at least for now, comfortable playing around the bottom side.
To circle back to this itemization on Tristana, going for the Infinity Edge first, something I was looking at when I see Caps playing this in the mid lane, a lot of it is Blade of the Ruined King Rush, so some more power in the early game, get a stronger first item completion on this Tristana. Instead, Jiizuke going for the Infinity Edge signals to me he wants more power a little bit later on in the game. Once he can get a couple of Zeal items behind that, it's going to give him a lot of damage. I've even seen some Tristanas go for the Essence Reaver, favoring a little bit more flat AD because of the attack speed multiplier that's built into Tristana's kit in her Q.
As well as the nice AD ratios across her kit. But
definitely.
Attila is farming everything that he can at this moment. A bit difficult to split this. He will now turn his attention to the red buff. Rogue moving in. 4 members not quite committed mid as you wanted earlier, Ender. We're just seeing 1 for now, but they are moving through the jungle, laying down vision and making sure the Prophet can just take this tier 2 tower mostly uncontested here. Soulflare will clear out a little bit of the wave. Second one as well, but still, Rogue are just kind of chipping away at this Vitality team.
And I think we're seeing some problems now from Vitality, because I think Vitality want to have a little bit more scrappy of a game. Again, they can't just group up with 4 people and sort of run you down. That's really Rogue shtick in this game, and what ends up happening is that Rogue are just maneuvering through the jungles, knocking out these side lane towers, while Vitality are hoping that Rogue make a mistake. It feels like they're relying much more on a misplay from Rogue, and it's stalling out their ability to take towers, to gain a lot of pressure on anywhere around the map where Rogue isn't, right? They have a lot of control up top side now, but that's because Rogue have been playing around the bottom lane to secure that bot lane tower for quite a while now.
Back ping's going down onto Woolite, telling him to be careful. Of course, has the TP if the Baron is threatened. Against most teams, you may not suspect this play, but against Vitality, they're clearly ready for it. Inspired, however, not quite ready for that one. Flash down safety, gets the blast going out too. Inspired, is he going to live? Oh, mission impossible. Hero escape from Inspired. Miss on the knock up there from Jactroll is just so sad.
Absolutely unreal there too. So close to knocking down Inspired, but that's what I said. It's very hard to secure these kills. Everything has to go your way for Vitality to make it work. And while that play was going on, Woolite was just down bottom lane, clearing away the minion waves. So they are doing a good job at this moment. Now Vitality, knowing that Inspired had to go back to base, are going to start up this Drake. But a teleport came in from behind here. Here's Prophet.
Prophet on the backside, can't he land anything? The package is now coming in. Here comes Larssen. So much damage in that pinch. Jactroll now running for his life. A lot of damage now being fired back. Larssen has to be careful. Combo is still very strong. Locked up. Multiple targets hit by the Ezreal ulti. The cleanse, the QSS coming out from Jactroll. Tries to buy a bit more time. Rogue now retreating. Have to respect the potential for the re-engage here. Jiizuke has not even started on the fight. The resets are there, but Rogue will back away.
Yeah, Jactroll so low. It'd be incredibly difficult for Vitality to start off a fight. Woolite also, I believe, got the Honey Fruit, so he got some more HP back. It's going to be a trade. Mountain Drake towards Rogue. Mid lane tower for Vitality and control over this top lane river.
They're running straight to Baron. They want to try and force the play. They know the package is not there. Inspired has no flash either. It's going to be hard for the Skarner to get into the pit, but this is incredibly risky. Rogue, they're going very slowly. They're not confident in moving towards this. Woolite is farming Raptors. In the meantime, 7k health and dropping.
Yeah, I mean, Cabochard has Ardent Sense, so they're just cutting through this thing. They're going to knock Inspired out of the pit.
2k, Inspired goes in, but no!
It's Vander!
It's taken down Vander! Things go from bad to worse. Vitality had their moment to come back, but the shutdown is there.
What are you doing? What? 23 minutes into the game, and yes, you have Tristana ult. There's tools you can use, but ultimately it's a coin flip play. Mowgli misses the smite in the heat of the moment, and now this game that was dead even, Rogue have complete control.
Rogue now pushing down the mid lane, breaking down this tier 2 tower. Looks like they will back off here, get their resets. Of course, we can take a look back at that Baron in a moment and just... We see exactly what we're wrong. This replay, of course, brought to you by Alienware. Alienware if you don't want this to happen to you.
They knock Inspired out of the pit, but then it's a Q smite combo that's failed. 43 HP, then 36 HP, and then Vander, I guess, gets it with his E. Like, unreal there.
Is that like the Baron regen moment where the Baron health happens to tick up right as you smite?
I mean, what happened was Mowgli was trying to combo down with his Q, which gets a lot of execute damage at the same time as his smite, so it was more of mental math there, trying to see to knock it down. I don't think that was actually regen, although you'd have to go like frame by frame to actually determine that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that live gold graph tells you the story of the game. That mountain that you're looking at
Guess where they threw it, Baron?
Confidence in Rogue now. And if I sound disappointed, it's because I am, because Vitality as a team is always hype, is always exciting to watch, and this is the second game where, through unforced errors, they have thrown away massive leads. And now as the tower breaks, we have to wonder, will they get a comeback opportunity, or will this be 2 games this week where Vitality were on the cusp of greater advantages of wins potentially and threw it all away?
I mean, it's going to be really hard to stall out this Baron. You know, they don't have hard engaged tools to try and collapse on a side lane when Rogue try to go for this full court press right now. A lot of pressure in mid, and Vitality looking for this flank on Jactroll. It has to be a perfect flank, but even then it's so difficult.
Double AD carries. Needs to find the carries on the back. Jactroll speeding through, leaping in on a Woolite. Will get the knock up onto the Corki. That's going to be big damage as he gets knocked back. The Ignite is taking, but it looks like he's still going to live. The redemption coming in, but it's not enough. Buster shot will come through. Jiizuke now trying to retreat. Prophet buying a bit more time. At least 1 pick traded. 1 for 1 overall as Prophet runs. Attila can't chase him down. Should be easy for the Ezreal to get more. He goes over the wall, though. Inspired will be ready to fire back, so Vitality will hold on for now.
Yeah, and Rogue don't need to slow down. They still can walk up for this tower. The dredge line barely missing on towards Jactroll, but it's very difficult for Woolite to step forward to hit the tower. Jactroll wants in.
Wants a bitch. He gets it. Woolite doesn't have the ultimate. There's going to be a lot of damage coming up from Jiizuke. Inspired is next to the list. Woolite's now in trouble. The resets are coming in. He's bouncing. He's looking for a bit more. Jiizuke, no flash available. The Ignite is there. They're going to hunt for Vander. Blast Cone should take him out to safety. A brief respite, but the team is chasing him down hard to get away from a Karma. Ooh, Spider knots his way to safety. Jiizuke and Attila still want blood, however, if they overstay their welcome. Vander going to be in trouble. A second blast cone, not going to be enough. Yes, knocks the Tristana back. Vander, not the hero of the day. Attila will find the kill in the end, but a tense exchange.
Vitality's comp is real good at running you down. If you're low HP, you're not going to escape from the Iceborne Gauntlet of the Ezreal and the speed ups from the Karma. See this one more time. Jactroll catches that Woolite because the Featherstorm was used much earlier. Now, he does trade down, but this means that Woolite isn't actually able to trade auto attacks in this fight. At this point, too, level 15 on Jiizuke, he outranges the Xayah as well. So it's very difficult to turn in these even situations when your front line has been knocked down for Rogue. And Attila with his 40% CDR can easily chase down on towards the support.
And still have to give respect over that Karma. I feel like the positioning there for Inspired and Woolite to put themselves between the wall and the tower was a bit unfortunate, as it just made them take so much damage. But you can check in on the gold. And actually, all things considered, things are going okay now for the side of Vitality. Yes, they are behind Woolite, but they have the double carry threats. So while the gold difference definitively in the favor of Rogue at the moment, 3.5k for this team, Vitality's carries are at least not terribly off.
Yeah, and I think if we're gearing up towards our next big team fight, whether Vitality want to contest around the Infernal or if it's going to be the Baron in just under 2 minutes, we have to look at how the fight transpired. Rogue, with a very strong front to back, they want to fight you in one area. They don't really want the fight to move around, whereas Vitality will be successful if they can dodge around. Jactroll tried to find a flank, but now he got caught.
Knockup is there, is now trying to run to safety with the quickness. Can't just get ulted here. Inspired, trying to hold on not to use it, but the QSS, timing's not quite there. Jactroll will get taken out. Now Jiizuke wants to fire back. Ezreal ulti coming in, trying to chase Larssen, but the double Valk, a little blue suede shoes, will take him out to safety. And now Rogue will secure the Infernal Drake as well. So overall, a good play for Rogue.
Yeah, and Prophet actually pushed up that bottom lane. This is a beefy minion wave in that side of the map, so they can walk up and hit this tower. Vitality, they would have to try and find a flank here, but Jactroll is still dead, and Larssen could TP into this fight.
Larssen will TP. Mowgli is on the backside. Big Lee Sin kick could save the day, but there's no more tower to back them up. Attila and Cabochard can do a lot of damage with one rotation, but they're just going to be poking for now. Ward goes for the wall. They know Mowgli's coming. Should be spotted out. Is he going to ward hop? Good use of the redemption, just trying to preemptively stop anything. Jiizuke now steps forward. Mowgli now wrapping around, but it might be too little too late. Prophet is burned down. No chance for a revive. Is he going to get it? The kick. Where's it going to go? Mowgli goes gold and tries to buy a bit more time until on the front line. Jiizuke as well. Keep your eyes on the 80 carries. Woolite's not able to fire. Neither is Larssen, and that means Vitality are winning the fight. The turn and burn moment. Can he do it? Woolite, it will not be enough. He is going to get burned down. Vitality will take the fight. The shutdown for Attila.
Yamato Cannon standing there, cheering on his team. Now Vitality, they still want to chase you down. Look at the movement speed from Cabochard. He's on the prowl.
Get away from the karma.
You cannot escape.
Too much movement speed, stepping forward, so much damage. Cabo's now running them down. The Rakan here as well. Throw a quick quill, boop. Is it going to be enough? The kill, Inspired, holding on, but the double will come through. That's double doubles for Vitality, and they're back in the game.
And the Baron has just respawned. Vitality acing Rogue now will TP towards that objective. Mowgli going to be respawning faster than any single member on the side of Rogue as well. So they seem to have righted their mid-game wrongs here with one crucial fight around their inhib.
And as critical as we are of Vitality about getting over-aggressive, they are also decisive. And this was a decisive play. This is a decisive Baron. They burn their TPs to make sure that this can happen. And for Vitality, they are back in the driver's seat. What can they get with this Baron is now the question.
See this fight one more time here. Again, such a long setup from Mowgli on the side, but they're waiting for Jactroll to respawn, and they end up bursting Prophet right off the back of things. The flash kick gets dodged out by Woolite, so it doesn't end up meaning a whole lot. But again, at this point, Rogue are on the run. When Rogue are on the run, there is no way they can fight against Vitality. Vitality have the continual shields, the heals, the dashes. They will just chase you down and not give you a second to breathe.
And really, all Prophet can do in these fights, so along with Inspired, is buy time for the backline to hit the enemy team. But when he goes down before the fight even starts, you can see Vitality don't mess around. They will just delete your entire team. And you look back at that replay, how many auto attacks did the Corki, the Xayah get off? Not a lot. Once they're on the back foot, you get to see that Ezreal, that Tristana, that Karma just cut through the enemy team.
Now the one thing is Vitality's comp is still so reliant on Mowgli and Jactroll if they're trying to play on the offensive, if they're trying to start these fights. So Rogue, sitting inside of their base, should be able to hold on. But right now Larssen is up topside. They can just step up with these shields and whack away at the tower.
Huge damage out coming in as well. Looks like Jactroll wants to get a fight kicked off. The QSF takes him out to safety, but he might just go down to the exchange. Woolite has grabbed the kill, but it might be the inhibitor now taken down. Vitality still 4 members strong. Larssen still on the top side. It is a 4v4 in the mid lane. Larssen looking to trade back. Vitality may just try to end the game. Will we see another mistake? Can they actually close it out here? Eyes on Vitality. Now we're seeing Larssen back off, though. This is the play is clearly in favor of Vitality at this stage of the game. Mowgli now backing up. The Karma is simply providing too much shielding. Prophet now in trouble. Woolite now stepping forward. Jiizuke with the Ignite. The ultimate now coming down, trying to lock Jiizuke up. He needs to get out to safety. Inspired will not be able to find the kill. Vitality are taking these small exchanges, and they are winning. Vander is dead, and the rest of Rogue are in trouble.
And Vitality don't have to slow down. Their towers are falling. Attila can do it. All they need is a couple more autos. But Rogue, they must do something.
The siege is sustained. Mowgli! That's absolutely huge! And that is the hero moment. Vitality will not make the same mistake twice. They will look to end the game. Vitality will cut Rogue down. Yes, they gave up that Baron, but they will win the game, and Vitality move up to 5-7. And in that game, Ender, we single-handedly saw the Vitality story. A story of decisive plays, of overactive plays backfiring, of small mechanical mistakes turning the game against them, and of moments of clear decisiveness paying off, rewarding them, finding these advantages, and taking not just one thing, but taking everything. When you give Vitality an inch, if it's on their terms, they will take a mile. And they reminded us of that.
And it was the quick thinking from behind that really, it stuck with me here for Vitality, because for a long time, this team has struggled when they fall behind early. You don't give them much, of a chance to come back in these games. But it was around that bottom lane inhibitor where everything changed, where they made that split-second call, that decisive shot call that got them the win in this game.
And this is the first time that Vitality have been in a deficit at 15 minutes to split and come back and won a game. This is not a team that comes back very well, very reliably. Of course, we're close up against Splice yesterday, but couldn't find it. So from what could have been a disastrous week to one that they can at least walk away knowing that something went right, that they were doing something correctly. For Vitality, it's a good look for a team that many expect to be playoffs contenders. Yet on the opposite side for Rogue, difficulty once again. We talk about Inspired, about a guy that you can set up for success, but once again, he is not the benefactor of the draft. He does not get a comfort pick. His lanes are not set up to succeed in the early game.
Yeah, and it wasn't like one of those games where Inspired explodes in the early game and gets a huge lead on a pick like an Olaf, but it still was a solid early game from Rogue. Grouping up with Vander in particular, they worked very well together to make these plays happen. Looks like we're getting a replay ready for you guys on the screen right there, but this was a successful start to the game. The mid game then went well when they won that fight around the Baron. This is what we're seeing one more time when Vander gets into the pit to steal this one away. His ultimate goes through the dragon because Mowgli repositions behind the Baron. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely absurd. And that's where we think Rogue is going to win the game, right? That's where we think it all turns around for this squad, where they have the Baron, where they have the easier to execute composition, where they can just run down one of these lanes, but they put themselves in a corner. They went all down towards that bottom side. Mowgli makes the call to come in on the flank, and the confusion of trying to deal with that flank from Mowgli put Rogue in a position where they had to run and where they had to lose.
And honestly, just an incredible turnaround once again from Vitality, of course. Let us know who your favorite player was for key or player of the game. At lolesports on Twitter is the place. Cabochard, Jiizuke, and Attila are your options. I don't know. Honestly, this was a wild game, folks. Maybe Cabo, if you're not sure.
Cabochard had a solid early game. They were playing through him, but in those late game team fights, it was really him and Attila, I felt like mostly, that were chasing people down. Attila's damage numbers in those late game fights were very impressive as well.
AP Ezreal, baby. That's what it's all about. Well, Vitality closed out their week with a win, and for more, here's Lore with Jiizuke.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Jiizuke, for joining me now. I'm confused because I thought Tristana mid lane was a Caps thing to do, and yet you played it. So talk me through the pick.
Well, meta is just about scaling, and we had a karma, so I really wanted to play AD and just be the shielded guy going forward.
And I mean, lately you relied mostly on counter picks. I mean, we saw you on Echo. Usually you go for the red side to have the opportunity maybe to flex pick or have the last pick. So why did you go for a champion we didn't see since 2014?
Well, honestly, this was my second Tristana game in like, I don't know, 3 years or something. But like there were some things in game. I was like, I was asking Attila if I can W Skarner or something like that, and I can't, so I bought QSS. But yeah, just Tristana is hyperscaling and Corki is hyperscaling, so I matched, and I'm fine playing comfort picks, but I'm also fine to pull out picks that no one knows about. So I mean, this Tristana pick is not mine. Chowi and Keen from Africa and Griffin, they played it in solo queue, and yeah, I thought it was a good try.
Do you take inspiration from what you see in Korea and Korean teams?
Yeah, for sure. I watch all LCK and LPL games, and I just manage by myself what's good and what's not. And I also check the solo queue accounts and see what's the meta in Korea. I think they're always one step ahead in solo queue at least. Like solo queue in Korea compared to EU is like 15 times better. So yeah.
And still, it's not NA. So I guess we're going to hear more about the game now. More about the game now. You had a good matchup on top lane, like Cabochard had Karma versus Aatrox. We know how this goes. You try to force on top lane. You don't quite do it. You actually die trying to die. So how did you get the situation back in your game?
I don't know what exactly happened, but in our eyes, it was like 3 double kill under tower. I have to rewatch. I actually don't know what happened, but I thought we were going to dive them, and I get double kill, but that's not what happened. Corki got really fed. It was 3d4s against the pickaxe and the critical strike thing. I tried to 1v1 him after, and I'm like, I don't have damage.
That was still a strange week for you guys. I mean, after the game yesterday and this one today, can we expect more clean games from Vitality next week?
I mean,
I hope so.
Can't guarantee that, but we are trying our best to clean up our play. But I think what the meta showed already from GT winning MSI and IG winning Worlds last year is that chaos and fights to mechanical limit are the best way to play the game.
I agree on that, and I wish you guys good game. Thank you for joining me. Now we're going to take a short break, and coming back, it's going to be Misfits versus Exhale. Don't go anywhere, guys.